Here's an interesting question to ponder. If you could go back in time and sit down across the table from your younger self, what would you say? It might be an interesting conversation to listen in on. And I would love to ask that question to a friend of mine. We're going to ask Laura Pitney what she would say to herself today. Welcome to the Simply Charlotte Mason podcast. I'm Sonya Schaefer. Laura, it's great to have you joining us again.
Thank you.
I have a question for you. Hypothetical, okay? Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm ready.
If you could go back in time and sit down with your younger self, what would you tell yourself?
I don't want to answer that. Just kidding.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting question for sure, and I appreciate you giving me a little heads up to ponder this. So initially, when I was first considering what I would say, it's such a hard concept to wrap your brain around because you learn and you grow so much over the years that you really can't even learn those things without going through the hard times and the good times and the experiences. So, yes, you want to instruct your younger self, but at the same time, you're like, how would you even comprehend some of the things because you haven't gone through the lessons in life.
Yes.
But currently, I kind of land where I'm currently at. So, if I could go back and give a piece of advice to my younger self, it kind of stems off of boundaries and to know why I am saying yes or no to things. So my tendency, my default, especially as a younger version of myself, was almost instantly to say yes to things. And my intentions were good. Like, I wanted to help out. I wanted to serve. I wanted my family to be part of things. So in general, my default was to say yes. But looking back, sometimes it should have been a no. But to not have a reason for saying yes or no, or to not have a firm place to stand as like my backbone to say no so I don't feel guilty for saying no, that's kind of what I would do to revisit. So what I mean by that is just take some time to consider maybe your core values of like how you would filter saying yes to something. So
Are you talking about your personal core values or your family core values? Or
for us, it's a family core value. So I would say, if I say yes to this, does it have kingdom impact? If I say yes to this, does it put my family first? If I say yes to this, does it put the person over the possession? So those are some guidelines to filter if I should commit to something or if I should decline something. And I just feel like if I had valued that when I was younger, it probably would have alleviated some stress. It probably would have helped balance my time better. I definitely could see benefits. Not that they weren't used for our better good. So there was, obviously the Lord was in control of, how things panned out when I was younger and my family was younger. But I just feel like, years later, to be confident in putting my family first, making decisions that really have a footing, and I don't feel guilty about saying no, just because I know that about myself. So I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah,
but,
it does.
A lot of times, especially new moms, or if you're new to raising your children, sometimes it's just really hard to say no because you want to please everybody. You want to do things right. You don't necessarily have the confidence yet of being secure in your decisions for homeschooling or parenting or whatever it is. So I just really feel like that would have helped me earlier on if I had just had those boundaries there for saying yes or no to things.
And those three core values, give them to me again.
So we
For
spent,
your
yes, so
family.
we spent some time as a family.
Just recently,
Yes,
right?
yes,
Yeah.
within the last year, and it's been life-changing for us because it's helped us currently say yes or no to things with a reason.
So for your family, you came up with these three
Yes.
priorities.
Yes.
And it was,
Sure.
does it impact kingdom?
Kingdom impact. So if, whatever the decision is it for the glory of God, and does it have a kingdom impact? Is it not, frivolous or something, I think that's self-explanatory. And then our second one is family first. So if we're having to make a decision between maybe an activity the kids want to participate in and then maybe a family member coming in from out of town, we're going to pick the family member because that's family first. So that's helped dictate, even with teenagers, to know this is my reasoning because it's not putting family first, and it alleviates arguing.
You've got that common
yes, the common
vocabulary
goal,
now.
yes.
Were your teenagers, before we get to the third
Yeah.
one, were your teenagers in on
Yes.
these, choosing these three priorities?
Yes. So my husband and I, we kind of scripted out the big picture of what we wanted our core values to be, and then we sat down with the kids because they're older, and we brainstormed with them. We told them, this is our idea, this is our reasoning. What do you guys think? What else could we add, or what should we take away? So we did work with them once we presented the main idea of it, and then about a week later we met back together and we had it more clearly defined. And then we wrote it all down, and everybody has a copy of it, just so we can refresh, because that's a new habit of remembering why we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah, what the priorities
Yeah.
are. And the third one was people over possessions?
Yes, and
What does that look like?
sure. So,
I don't have to clean my room because that's possessions.
yeah. So, no. That's good. Don't mention that to them.
Oh, okay.
So I think the heart of this was this balance between connection and technology. I think that was the heart of where this landed, because technology is part of our children's upbringing. Like, it's different than when I was the cell phone didn't exist,
Right.
So,
And for them, the cell phone has never not existed.
correct. So I think our heart was, there is this inner war of, I want connection with my children, but then I also have this tool that is technology based, and how do we balance this? So twofold. One side is, yes, sometimes it's a punishment to have it taken away because I love you, right? But then sometimes it's a tool because it's going to help you. And so I just feel like when the children can understand that I am choosing you as the person because I love you more than I want you to find happiness in that technology. And so I think it's clarified that Marvin and I's motivation is because we love their heart, and not because we want to ruin their life because we took their phone away or gave some kind of restriction. So that one has really helped my kids understand I love them. And if there's a negative consequence, it's because I love them, because the person is more important than the possession. So it is technology-based, but then that does overflow to other things as well. But that was the heart of it, was that this inner war with the heart versus the technology that they love.
Yeah. Well, and I could even see that playing out with younger children who don't have phones, where they are arguing over a toy. Well, it's not who had it first. It's not all about the possession. It's about the people.
Yes.
And the heart attitude. So that could
Yeah.
apply in many situations.
For sure. And so the core values that we are currently working through and implementing now would have been super helpful to have 15, 20 years ago when, the kids were coming, because my mindset is different. It's helping me filter through why I'm doing what I'm doing. So I feel like that's the main thing I would want to shove in my face. Look at this. Yes, do this. It's great.
Well, then it sounds like it's impacting not only your decisions about things outside the home, but also things inside the home. It's all encompassing.
Yeah, the atmosphere. It comes back to that, and
That's true.
the relationships and them processing the ideas that are presented through those core value filters. especially the kingdom impact. What do we do with our money? What kind of job do you commit to? Especially with older kids wanting to work, is this a job that still allows you to attend church? Is it a job that is a certain radius that doesn't, like moving away, where you live, your money, all of that is that bubble of kingdom impact. And so training them in order for them to leave, we would love for them to have that foundation of that kingdom impact: time, money, where you live. Do you desire a family? Do you want to, whatever the Lord puts in their life, filter it through, does this have kingdom impact? So it's been really good. We're not perfect at it, but it's been such a useful tool now that I am praying my older adult becoming children will see the benefits of it. And how sometimes we hope that our kids will break the cycles that we have, and because we've tried to break cycles of things. So this is one of those things I hope they will take with them.
Yes, and I can see how those 3 priorities are living ideas.
Yeah.
They're not just bits of information. Those are ideas that will nestle deep in their hearts and minds and will grow and look for other related ideas and other applications, and it'll just keep spreading.
Yeah.
So you've got the living ideas, and making decisions by those ideas affects the atmosphere of your home and the discipline, the habits that you are trying to instill.
Yeah.
It's all wrapped around core values. So even if someone doesn't have the same, I'm assuming not every family is going to have those same 3 core values.
No, they do not. And a friend of mine, she's the one that kind of started the conversation, and she shared her core values, and I was like, those are really good. And so I considered them, and then originally applied them in the context of our home, and I was like, okay, that one doesn't really apply. What makes our family who we are? And that's kind of where I landed, and Marvin, to kind of filter through. And so one of the things was ministry. Ministry's kind of always been threaded through our lives. So church and being a faithful church member. So we knew something in the kingdom impact made sense. Missions, like I said, serving in our church, serving in our community, serving at Simply Charlotte Mason. So even though my friend had her core values, I did use those as a starting point to jump off into what ours looks like. But the question was, what makes us who we are? And we come from a big family. My husband has a huge family, and so family is really important to us. And we have 4 kids, so obviously our family is going to continue, Lord willing, continue to grow with spouses and grandchildren and things like that. So family is just important to us. That's part of what defines us. And then the third one just kind of landed on the technology issue, just having 4 teenagers, or 3 teenagers. It's just like the heart of, we want the person more than we care about what they're doing, good or bad. Like, the person is what is important to us. And so that was just kind of how we processed through it. And then everybody kind of listed out their ideas, and I took notes in our little family meeting. And then we just refined it, wordsmithed it down to here's our statement about it. So yes, core values for other families should look different. Because everybody's different and family cultures are different.
But once you have those, that's what you would tell your younger self. It helps to figure these out in this season of life.
Yeah.
They could change in different seasons. But to figure these out so that you can then have a guide for making those decisions.
Yeah, because the world wants us. The world pulls us in so many directions, and we're fighting to love our families well. We're fighting to educate our families well, and you need something to stand on. Yes, Scripture. Yes, your relationship with the Lord, but sometimes it's just good to have it defined.
Well, and a lot of times you're making a decision not between good and bad.
Yeah.
It's between what's best and what's still good.
Yeah.
Because, I'm sure the things that you were looking at, the activities that you were being asked to participate in were not bad activities. That's what makes it hard to make those decisions. So having that to help guide your decisions would have probably made your life a whole lot easier over the years.
For sure, for sure.
Well, I'm glad you're sharing it now.
Yes, I'm thankful I'm learning it now.
Yes. Thanks for sharing it with us so we can learn it too, and it will be helpful to many people.
Thanks.
If you enjoyed this podcast, be sure to subscribe. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time.